Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Willie Does Wrestling YouTube channel, and we are back with another live show. This one is a special one. We got another guest here on the channel. It is the Last Week in Wrestling podcast. Can you introduce yourself for the lovely people? Oh, you're muted there, buddy.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Awesome. Yes, my name is Dylan. I am the founder of Last Week in Wrestling podcast. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate to be coming on. This is very exciting.
No problem, no problem. Now, yeah, we met through the Pro Wrestle News team, and
Hmm.
yeah, essentially today we have both agreed to do this special episode here on the channel about all elite wrestling. Everyone's for some reason favorite promotion at the minute, like especially on Twitter, people will just defend the absolute shit out of it. So
Oh yeah.
I just I just don't know. We'll start off talking about the fan base. Like, what is wrong with AEW? First off, the fan base. Like,
Hmm.
what are your thoughts on the fan base and just how, for some reason, so passionate and why they need to defend every little thing about the damn company?
Well, I definitely want to say again, thank you so much for having me on. This is a very exciting experience. I never
Yeah, no
been a
problem.
guest of anything. This is very exciting. I definitely think that many people, like myself, even believe that there is a possibility of this show being just as good as WWE going forward.
Yeah.
Of course, the lack of writing and booking is probably the weakest uh, part of AEW going forward. We have a lot of these talented wrestlers, even in Evolution and in Dark, that are slowly making their way to the main roster, as well as going into Rampage, as well as Dynamite, and aren't really getting a lot of the light that many of the other main card roster wrestlers are getting, push wise or anything in between.
Mhm.
So I think that, in the sense of Tony Khan's method of booking is a little bit skewed. I think he's tackling on a little too much in the sense of booking, writing, and trying to produce all of these great shows that he wants to do, and tackling on a lot of projects that he thinks is a good idea, but actually could be hurting his brand more or less going forward.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. It seems like Tony Khan is just too involved in everything. Right? Like he's a promoter, he's a booker, he's a president, he's a CEO. He owns
Yeah.
Ring of Honor. He's got all this shit cut out for him, and he's
Hmm.
also writing and he's doing all of this. And you can really see it whenever he appears on TV, like just how energetic he is. I think it's because he's got too much cut out for him. He looks like he hasn't slept in days, and
Yes.
it shows in somebody when you are involved too much in
Yeah.
something that it just kills you.
Yeah, and I know we spoke about this on Twitter prior as well. He seems to have his good days and he seems to have his bad weeks. And there's these a lot of these cards that we even got going into last year. We could start there, more or less. There was a lot of pay-per-views that he had that were decent. Not great, not good, but decent enough to keep a lot of us entertained, keep us to, like you said, what we were saying before. Again, with like Revolution, it's a good card, but it's
Yeah.
not exciting enough to be wow. I can't wait for next Sunday. Wow, I can't wait for the trios tag match with House of Black and All Elite.
Yeah.
I am excited to see what could happen going forward. I am excited to see what direction AEW is trying to make their way into. But again, it keeps seeing that Tony keeps on taking one step forward and like 10 steps back. With his
Yeah.
Ariel Hawani joke, he didn't need to go above and beyond to say that. He doesn't need to be tackling on, like you were saying, Willie, about all these projects and different things. Being owner of Ring of Honor, being the booker, being the writer, being all the many hats. Like it is a lot. He needs to kind of lay some of these other obligations onto other people that are either equipped to do these things and can be in those type of management positions like marketing or writing or booking or what have you. And he should just focus more or less on the writing. I know we're taking a lot of jabs at Tony and everything, and it seems like he's a bad guy, but Tony does make some very good moves in essence. I know his heart's in the right place. He seems to be a very, he's a fan first, which is always good. And it's kind of like, I know with this AEW, but he does kind of remind me in some aspects of Triple H in the sense of, being a fan first and being a businessman second. And with
Yeah.
that, it's a good mindset and it's a good way to approach AEW. But again, like you stated before, he takes on too many projects. We don't really need a lot of these extra things to hype up the crowd or hype up the excuse me, the roster in its essence. We have a great team. We have great athletes already on the card, whether they're from WWE or whether they're from brand new Ring of Honor come ups or even just brand new wrestlers in general. I think that we have a good team that we should be utilizing in some type of aspect and pushing many of the people that deserve that type of push and not keep focusing on the people that are the face of the company, quote unquote, per se, and aren't really the face of the company, quote unquote, per se. So that's where kind of I think one of unfortunately some of his shortcomings are for AEW.
Yeah, I'm going to get into another thing that is kind of wrong with AEW. Is like you said, we've got a ton of talented athletes. We've got people like Miro, you got people like Andrade, you got people like Sammy Guevara, you got people like MJF, you got people like Mox, Hangman, what have you, Kenny, and the Bucks. But you also got a ton of people that you that aren't on TV a lot, like the aforementioned Miro. So you just
Mm-hmm.
gotta ask yourself: is the roster a little too big? Is Tony Khan signing too much people? Maybe we need a third show. Maybe we need a brand split. Maybe we need something so that way more people can be shown in a positive light. Sure, you got shows like Dark and Dark Elevation, but if I were to be quite honest, who watches that aside from the hardcore fans who have nothing
Yeah.
else better to do?
Right.
I'm
On a
sorry for
Monday.
all you Dark fans out there, but it's
right.
come on,
Yeah. No, I agree. 100%. Yeah. I yeah, I'd rather watch Monday Night Raw than Dark. I'd rather almost watch NXT than Evolution. It is
yeah,
absolutely that. I think you hit it right on the head. I think that Tony took on a little too much. I think he's trying to build this WCW type of era, like how we had with WWE and WCW many moons ago. I think that we have too many. Not saying they're not talented and don't deserve it, but many talented and deserving people on the roster that are getting almost too much of a push. I think that like Miro, like Andrade, like Sammy Guevara, like the JAS, any of them,
yeah.
we need to see them more in singles competition. We need to see them break away from these little minor feuds that aren't really doing too much for their career. More or less, they're just kind of keeping them a staple as, hey, remember us? Hey, remember us? Type of thing when you get lost in the Jericho Appreciation Society, when you get lost in the House of Black. Like I watch Brody Lee from time to time, even on YouTube, wrestling and indie shows to keep up his character of the House of Black. And it's like, oh, okay, right, you are a part of that. Sometimes you
Well,
kind of
Brody
forget.
King.
Yeah, Brody King, exactly. Thank you. And it's absolutely like you said. I think that he has tackled on a little too much, and that he needs to, maybe a brand split could help him. Maybe putting some of that main roster to Rampage, boosting Rampage up to maybe a 2-hour show instead of what we've,
Yeah,
the news that we got this week. With him now adding this reality, quote unquote, TV show of behind the scenes work. I think that's a little lame. I don't think
that is.
many fans of wrestling in general need to see what Britt Baker and Adam Cole are doing behind the scenes. Like, I don't really care as much. I
Oh,
don't
come
really
on.
care
You
with
want to see
Tad
them get
Conti.
ready for a match?
No, not at
You
all,
don't want to
man.
see
Not at all,
you don't
man.
want to see
Nah.
Britt Baker and Adam Cole hanging out at home with their dog.
No,
You don't want to. You know
no.
what would make that
I
show interesting? You know what would make that show interesting, and I know they'll never do it, is if they were to show what really happened at Brawl Out. That that would make the show redeeming in itself. You could have all the rest of the
yeah.
episodes be shit, but I agree with you that
Mm.
the past announcement, which actually inspired us to really do this, was the big announcement this week where they were like, Tony Khan has an important announcement or a big announcement, whatever, and you're
Yeah.
thinking,
What a big
well, there's
announcement.
rumors of yeah, like there were rumors of a Forbidden Door 2 that was apparently slated to happen, and we figured, hey, maybe it's
Correct.
that. Maybe they're going to announce a match, right, or something like that, or a number one contenders thing, or whatever. No,
Hmm.
well, and Tony Khan didn't even announce it. You got Adam Cole over there doing that, but it was like, yeah, we're gonna have this big reality show, so that way the passionate AEW fans can get a behind the scenes look into what we do. What, I'm gonna see you lace up boots? The fuck do I want to see that
Exactly.
for?
Right. Exactly. No, I agree. I don't care. I am shutting it off at 10. I'm going to watch a few of the episodes to see what we're really dealing with, content wise.
Yeah,
But generally speaking, I don't care. I'd rather hear more of what we're doing for Forbidden Door 2. I'd rather see what we're
mhm,
getting ready for Revolution. I'd rather see what we're doing for Evolution and Dark. I'd rather see if we're getting in. Honestly, we should have got an extra hour for Dynamite than an extra hour for bullshit. Not for nothing at
yeah,
the after the show of non-consistent booking. Like we need to see. If you're gonna do a show about behind the scenes, that should be on YouTube. It shouldn't be on TBS. It shouldn't be
I thought
on
being the
TNT.
elite was that. I thought being the elite was the behind the scenes thing.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
is
I
it
guess
not?
not. Cause yeah, I guess not either. Cause I don't get it either. I'm very disappointed in the announcement. I thought maybe we were gonna get more or less the Ring of Honor TV show announcement was more what he was going to announce. I was more excited to hear about that.
Yeah,
Seeing if it was gonna be on TNT. Like, hey, after Rampage, 1 hour of Ring of Honor. Okay, that now I want to watch Rampage more because after Rampage, I'm going to watch Ring of Honor. That's instead of paying for the subscription that it is at the current moment, we can see what Ring of Honor is going to be doing for the weeks to come, or what is for the week that came, and make
yeah,
people want to subscribe, make people want to join in on the app and go, okay, this is worth $10 a month. This is worth my time and effort and energy to be a part of this community now, expanding the wrestling community and everything in between. But instead, we got, hey, a VH1 special of AEW, and let's get what's going on with Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara instead. And I think it was a
yeah,
weak announcement. I think it was really shitty. I think that it definitely Tony Khan should have took that and took the L instead of being like, oh, let me pass it over to Adam Cole instead and have him announce it. Like that's not what I would have done, if I was in, of course,
yeah.
that
No.
that predicament. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? This
If
is this is what we
if
get for the moment.
if I really wanted to have this reality show, it was really just worth a Twitter announcement. Why do we have to wait till the end of Dynamite for this? Like,
Yes.
especially since a lot of fans were hyped up, being like, "Oh my God, Forbidden Door 2." No, it's this reality show, and like you said, like, why don't you fill up that 10 to 11 slot for a third hour of Dynamite? And
Yep.
I see there, Jojo Valvano, thank
Hmm.
you for joining, said a lot of stars are missing from AEW. Why don't we use that
Hmm.
extra hour of Dynamite to utilize for missing stars?
And it's the
Like,
same thing that goes. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
no, I was gonna say, like, I keep saying Miro. I keep saying Miro because from my from what I've heard, he's cleared. He just
Right.
doesn't have any booking plans or anything set in stone for him. Why aren't we getting
Mhm.
him? That dude is so talented. Like I said on Twitter, the All Atlantic Championship is right there. Like, why aren't we getting him? Or you can make Rampage 2 hours. Like Rampage to
Right.
me is pretty much like the main event of WWE. You know, WWE's main event where
Hmm.
it's like all jobbers and shit. Like, I don't need to see
Yep.
that. Why do I need to see John Moxley versus some indie guy that only two people have ever heard of? Why do I need to
Exactly.
see um, Soraya versus Sky Blue? Oh, that's Dynamite. But you know, the Dynamite's like that too. Why are all the
Yes, it
matches
is.
just fucking big names versus jobbers? Why do I need to
Correct.
do that? Why do I need to see that?
Correct.
Sure, you'll have your Lacey Evans match on WWE, but all the rest, at least all the matches are entertaining. Chad Gable
Yeah.
gets to have decent spots, you know?
Yes. No, I agree. I agree. That's why I'm smiling, and I'm just sitting there going, "Yeah, absolutely," because it's so true. It's so true. Because with the comparison, Tony Khan seems to be very much engulfed in what WWE is doing in their business strategy, from their booking to their writing to their hey, what kind of draw can we bring for Wednesday with the MJF promo that he did with Hi Birdie, talking to Daniel
Yeah.
Bryan's or Brian Danielson's kid. Like I get it. I get that you know where you're at in the sense of rankings. I know that you know where you're at in the sense of booking. I know you know where you're at in the sense of overall wrestling content in general. But if you utilize what you have to bring you to that next level, bringing that extra hour of the instead of Dynamite an extra hour, bring it to Rampage. Have 2 hours of Rampage where we can bring up people from Dark, people from Evolution, have them start like an NXT level up type of thing, and we
Yeah.
start showing the underclass to the main class and start slowly bringing them into a Rampage main roster. And we have two great main roster characters on both Rampage and Dynamite back to back days. I feel like that is something that we should be looking forward to. That is something that Tony Khan should be doing more or less than going, oh, let's just have a reality show. Let's just see what we can do with a reality show. Maybe people would want to watch that. And, going on Twitter and stuff like 4 million people are watching. I don't believe that. I don't believe that
Yeah.
4 million people. Listen, if it's right, then wow, holy shit. Like 4
That's
million
all
people are
time
suckers.
records. That's
Yeah,
that would be all time high. 4
yeah,
million. Like
I don't
4
know. I don't
million,
know
and it's
about
not
that.
like 4 million, and it's not even 4 million every week. Like not with all
Right.
your four shows if you count Dark and Elevation. No, they're saying 4 million people every Wednesday. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you think we don't tune into the Observer newsletter? Like
Yeah,
we know
really.
that you've only got like 800,000. Like
Yeah.
calm your
I
ass
like I
down,
don't listen to
buddy.
Dave Meltzer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I agree. It's Tony Khan has a product that can be one of the most beneficial for many up and coming wrestlers in general. WWE, the biggest difference, at least for me, from like I said before, I'm a little older than you and everything, and I've seen a little
Yeah.
more of different eras of wrestling and stuff like that. But back when it was the early 2000s, we saw the creation of Thugonomics. John Cena. We saw ruthless aggression. We saw Brock Lesnar. We saw Kurt Angle. We saw Vince McMahon being a character. Stephanie McMahon being, one of the first person to be indoctrinated into the Undertaker family. And we
Yeah.
saw all of these great stories being told every Monday and every Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever time it was at the time. Maybe it was even Thursdays. And throughout all of that and the differences, and then Eddie Guerrero and them coming over from WCW and everything else in between. And now we're getting AEW. And it could be that. AEW could be something that's similar to that. AEW could capitalize on that. Could capitalize like, you know what? Fuck WWE. You know what? We're not WWE. We're not going to
No.
be like WWE. We're going to be a little bit more grittier. We're going to really enhance our superstars. The Evolution and Dark is our developmental to bring new characters on, to really develop their character, to see what they can do. And if they are more engaged with the consumer, more engaged with the audience and stuff, let's bring them to a Rampage show. Let's bring them to that. Dynamite, I feel, is more of the Monday Night Raw of AEW. That's the show that
Yeah.
everyone knows AEW Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's right there in your heart. It's definitely something you have to tune in every week for, because you have all the main guys. You have the Elite. You have Kenny Omega. You got MJF. You got Wardlow. You
Yep.
got Samoa Joe. You got all these people that are drawing you in. Christian Cage, Jungle Boy. We could list them all day long. And, from there, we're going into Rampage, which is a lighter show, a show that's bringing some of Dynamite over, which is cool, because I understand it's the SmackDown of the AEW. But like SmackDown, we need to have our Eddie Guerreros. We need to have our Rey Mysterios. We need to have our Stacy Keeblers. We need to have our Trish Stratus's and Litas. We need to have our Hardy Boys and our, I forgot Brock Lesnar with Shelton Benjamin. I can't remember their name, but that tag team, the rated RKOs. We need those coming to Dynamite to elevate Dynamite, even if it is pre-recorded, for Christ's sake. Like, it's pre-recorded.
Oh, yeah.
Not for nothing here, people. It's pre-recorded. I'm sorry to burst the bubble, but it's pre-recorded. Okay? So not for nothing. If you're going to pre-record an hour and you're going to say, hey, we're going to give you 50% of a good hour, what are you doing to me here? I'm not going to want to turn in after watching SmackDown's Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse and watching the 6-man tag with Braun and Ricochet and Imperium the night before, a couple hours before, to watch Dustin and Keith Lee. Don't get me wrong. I love Dustin Rhodes. I love Keith Lee.
Me too.
But I don't give a shit about him with Swerve at the moment because of what they got cooking. It doesn't make it. It doesn't seem exciting. It doesn't. It's just like, hey, this is just extra content for you, and it's like, that's great. Put it on a Patreon account if you really want to give us extra content like that.
Put
Don't
it on
give us
Honor
this.
Club.
Yeah, put it on.
Honor
Exactly. Put it on Honor Club to boost up Honor Club. Give me Ring of Honor. Give me something that's different. Give me, what is Friday night to you? What does Friday night mean to Tony Khan? What does it mean to AEW as a whole package, as a whole company? Does this mean like it's our afterthought show? Is it let's just add a couple of things from Dynamite and let it leak over to Dynamite, to Rampage and everything, so that way it's like, oh, it's still gripping and exciting? No, it's not. Maybe to some people that are coming just for Fridays, yeah, absolutely, because they can't watch it Wednesdays, or they don't want to watch it Wednesdays, they don't have the time, or whatever the case may be. But, again, it's like, what are we really getting here? It was exciting to see Jeff Hardy come back and see him on Rampage a few nights. That was exciting. And then after everything that happened to him, what do we got now? Nothing. We got nothing. Honestly, we have nothing. And
I feel bad for
it
Matt.
goes back to, yeah, I
feel
do
bad
too.
for Matt.
That's something.
Like, you want to talk
that's
about
something we could definitely talk about.
underutilized talents. I'm sorry. You
Yeah.
want to talk about underutilized talents?
Matt
What
Hardy.
about Matt? Remember, Matt
Yep.
debuted at AEW a couple of years ago, and he was a big
V1.
deal. He was Damascus. He was Damascus.
Yeah.
Like, they did the broken thing again, and then he sided with Andrade, and they put him in this weird ass fucking stable. They brought him out of the stable, like he was with Private Party. They brought back Jeff, and now he's back with Private Party. And
Waste.
what the fuck
Waste.
are you doing there? They wasted
Waste.
Another thing I'm going to say, JoJo just said, I need more stories in AEW. That's another thing. You want to talk about the Revolution card? We said this before. Revolution, stacked fucking card. MJF versus Bryan Danielson for an hour, it's great. Wardlow versus Samoa
I got a lot
Joe,
to say about that.
Absolute banger. Absolute banger.
Yeah.
Elite versus House of Black, it was a match that I've wanted to see since the trios belts were created. But however, if there's not a proper feud, and maybe it's just because we're used to WWE and how much they've brought long-term booking and storylines on the map. But however,
that's a good point.
AEW, it just seems like, well, all the hardcore fans who only want to see blood and guts and long-ass matches with high spots, they're getting their fair share. Fuck their stories.
Right.
You're getting the big-ass matches. Do you really go into New Japan Pro Wrestling for the stories? It's the same thing with AEW. Like, no, I want the stories. I want the feuds. That's the whole point. You got a baby face. You got a heel. You got a reason why they hate each other. They go at each other's throats, and we kind of do get that, but it's not like it makes sense. It's just like I'm here
on a lower level.
And hi, buddy. And they collide for no reason. It's like House of Black. What's their beef with them? I don't fucking know.
Right. Nothing. There's no story to it. And yeah, I mean, you're literally hitting it right on the head, buddy. And I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. It is 100. You're 100% right. It's sad that Tony's putting on very good pay-per-views. As much as we're like to
Yeah.
literally pull down our pants and shit on him at this moment in time, I do have to say he is one of, in my opinion, even with Vince McMahon prior to being in charge, now with Triple H, that is something for a different day. But he has put on decent pay-per-views. He has put on good pay-per-views. Me and my buddy Sam went to Full Gear. And I have to tell you, Full Gear was amazing. It was an
Oh, it was
amazing
great.
match after match after match after match after match, all the way to the end, watching MJF get the win, watching the Acclaimed, watching Keith Lee, watching Swerve, Jungle Boy jump off the top of the cage like Mick Foley. Like it was just an amazing, amazing night of wrestling, and we wish we can go back to it every single day. But again, it goes back to, he's taking on too much. He's trying different things out without running it past marketers, without running it past creative, without running it past people that have been in this business in some way or another. Like, look, if he decided to take writers and creators from GCW, TNA, WWE that aren't going to stay there because of Vince McMahon, bring them on.
Yeah.
Say, listen, these are the ideas I want to try. What do you think would work? What do you think will be our breakout to have us go, okay, we're number one this week. Why? Because of this story, this story, and this story. We now have set ourselves up for Rampage. We've now built our way to Revolution. So now when we get to Revolution, we're going to finish the story. We're going to, like Cody Rhodes, we're going to finish that story. We've been telling it for a while. Now we're going to finally finish it. And, again, it sucks because Tony does have good moments. He's taking on high, amazing, talented, crazy-ass performers, and he's putting them on the grandest stage of them all, which is television, and he's giving them the opportunity of a lifetime that WWE wouldn't. A lot of these guys, if they were in WWE or it's still in WWE, would be buried. With the Jay White thing, I know it's a little side tangent, but if Jay White went to WWE, he wouldn't be good in WWE unless he was in NXT. And, and many people are going to say, that's crazy. That's a crazy thought. What the hell are you thinking? You must be smoking something. I'm not smoking anything, guys. I'm telling you, it's the truth, because Jay White's caliber compared to WWE's, process of getting to the next thing is different. Jay White wants to be number one. He wants to be the Roman Reigns of the company, the face of the thing. He could in NXT. Yeah. He can't be in WWE. There's too many other people lined up for that next position, like Sami Zayn, like Cody Rhodes, like anybody else you want to name. So, but going back to AEW, like Miro, like Andrade, where are they? I miss them. I wish Miro was back on. Hell, Miro can come back on Rampage one day. It would make me want to watch Rampage that week, because now we're going to be like, all right, well, what the fuck are you going to do? Are you going to have a feud with, House of Black? Are you going to try to bring a family together? Are you going to try to get a story going into, Revolution or Forbidden Door or Blood and Guts or whatever the next pay-per-view may be after Revolution and stuff? We don't know. But again, it goes to, like you said, and what we've said pretty much throughout this episode is he's taking on too much. Tony Khan's weakest thing is he needs writers and he needs a creative team around him that's telling him yes and that's telling him no. And not explaining it like how maybe Vince McMahon's guys would say no or say yes to him just because he's a yes man and it's Vince McMahon and it's, if you don't say yes to me, you're fired. It's like, no. It's no because of such and such reason. It's yes because of such and such reason.
It's no because we want the fans to be happy. And yeah, I understand that 100%, but I think that's Tony's problem. I think Tony's too used now to doing everything on his own. And if he were to pull that, being like, yeah, I'm going to get some writers together, maybe some from TNA, some from New Japan, some from WWE, I think
New Japan would be great.
Yeah, it would be great. But let's say Tony has an idea.
Writing.
Let's say if Tony has an idea and those writers are like, no, what do you think he would do? I won't say he'll pull the Vince thing and be fired, but I think he'd throw a fucking temper tantrum if you ask
Oh
me.
yeah, for
But
sure. We've seen it.
I want to get into something else. I want to get into something else,
Sure.
and I'm sorry I'm cutting you off.
No, no,
But
no, no, no. Absolutely. Yes.
Revolution. Let's talk about Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson, I want him to be the world champion. But
I
that,
don't.
but the story, yeah, and that's another thing. If the story
I
was
don't.
good,
Yeah.
I bet we would go into Revolution being like Bryan Danielson has a chance, right?
Correct.
But I kind of don't think Bryan Danielson has a chance because I'm not
Right.
invested. Like
Right.
I want the House of Black to become trios champions, but
Correct.
I don't think that they will because the match was literally announced yesterday or today. I don't
Yes.
fucking know. So it's like,
Yesterday.
you
Yesterday.
think they're just gonna throw this match together just to have the elite lose, and it's the elite as well. Like, come on.
It's a
Like, so
possibility.
I don't know. Like, it's a
It's a
possibility the House of Black could win, but again, there's no story, so I'm not invested that we're gonna get new champions. Like, the only one I
right.
can really see is Wardlow and Samoa Joe, and that feud's been going on for like 6 months.
Oh,
So
don't even get me started with that, bro. I
Christian Cage
was
and Jungle
I am
Boy,
a
like,
I am a Darby Allin stan since day one. Even with Sting, and when I saw him win the I'm sorry to cut you off, but when Darby
go
Allin
ahead.
won that TNT belt, man, from Samoa Joe at that grueling match, I said, "Thank God we're heading in the right direction." He defended it for a month, not against
Dar-
shitty wrestlers, mind you.
Darby had
He
a
defended it
sick
against
run.
Kushida. Yeah,
Yeah.
he defended it against Kushida. He defended it against Buddy Matthews. He defended it
Oh.
against, I can't remember the other two fucking people, and I feel so bad because I
Uh,
always forget one or two of them. But he for 4 weeks straight, and then not even that. Let's just be very apparent here. He went to New Japan to send Great Muta off on his last match with the TNT belt, displaying AEW to a brand new audience. And then a week or two later, he goes, "You're gonna get it. You're gonna lose it." Now I know because he was doing movies and stuff like that was more or less the reason why he lost it, because he wanted to focus on that and other things like that. And that's fine. That's fine. I get it. That's fine. It is what it is. I had to swallow that pill. I'm very sad. I cried in the corner. I was very upset. I wrote in my journal. It was a big thing for me. But
yeah.
generally speaking, my buddy Sam will tell you this. I was devastated when Samoa Joe won. I said, how dare they take away the TNT belt? This is before I found out all the other information about Darby. And I was like, fuck him, fuck Samoa Joe, fuck Tony Khan. How dare they take it away from him? Like, this is ridiculous. But I don't know. Going with Bryan Danielson, Bryan Danielson, I'll say this. Bryan Danielson is one of the greatest technical wrestlers next to Christopher Daniels amongst the
Yeah.
rest of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. It's hands down. Argue with me all you want. Go look at his Ring of Honor.
Undisputed.
Go look undisputed.
No argument.
Look at his Go look at his Ring of Honor. Go look at his early WWE when he was doing dark matches in WWE. Like, go look at them, bro. Go look at them, man. Yeah, you're gonna be like, oh, okay. You're gonna come back and say, well, I'm sorry. So you're gonna be wrong on this one. I apologize, but it is what it is. I don't see him winning. In a way, I think he will win because Tony wants the better man. He wants the face of the company. He wants this is a better champion, so on and so forth. But with MJF only having one match prior to the Takeshita match for the TNT ring and the AEW belt with Ricky Starks, does he have that 60 minutes in him? He could be working in the gym only once, posting on Twitter, posting on Instagram. I'm lifting 450. I'm benching 550. Whatever. That's great, dude. Good for you. I'm happy you can. But I don't think you have the length to do 60 minutes of wrestling with a technical, efficient wrestler that can in any way make you tap out. I mean, from legs, leg maneuvers to arm over the arm, everything. So I don't think,
Crossface.
his kicks are deadly. The crowd is going to be screaming out, yes. I don't know if you got it, man. I'm Long Island. I'm a Long Island guy. I live in Long
Yeah.
Island, and he's Long Island, and I want us to win. Absolutely, it's like the Giants versus anybody. I want them to win. Absolutely, it has to be this. Otherwise, it's rigged. It's trash. It's like the football. It's garbage.
It's like the
It's fake,
Super Bowl.
Exactly. It's exactly that. And I want him to win, but with everything that he's set up to them, I got, I'm 2024, the contract to 2024, it ends all in 2023. How long, let's be honest here, how long do we really see MJF being champion? Is it a long time? Is it 6,
Well,
7
High
months
Side of the
until his
Ropes just
contract
said,
ends?
High Side of the Ropes predicts that MJF is going to have a Roman-like run. Like how? The
But
only
that's
time,
okay.
if he has a Roman-type run, it's going to be like Roman. He's going to cheat to win. Or maybe
That's
we'll
fine
see an
though.
MJF stable.
We can hope on pixie dust and twinkle fairies, but I hope that if MJF, I'll say this, MJF will be the smartest decision MJF can do for himself in his career is never sign with WWE. And I know a lot of people are going to say that I'm crazy, but it's so true, and it goes back to the Jay White thing. If MJF signs with WWE, where is he going to go? Who is he going to? The Miz?
The Miz, Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. Okay, great, cool.
Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
People like that.
No, we don't want that shit. His whole character, his whole essence of being a wrestler would be tarnished by WWE. I'm not saying that it's because of WWE. I'm not saying that Triple H wouldn't be able to book him correctly. I'm not saying that maybe Triple H wouldn't be able to find a suitable fit for him. But who is he really going to face? Sami Zayn?
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes? Come on. Come on. Don't play games with me. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest here. MJF is the best person to stay in AEW for all the reasons of why he's been the AEW champion. He's dirty. His promo skills are fantastic. His wrestling is good enough to keep him in the ring for AEW and being a champion. He has technicality of in-ring performance and out-ring performance that is on a different level than many other people. He's homegrown talent, for Christ's sake. He's not a WWE crossover. He is a genuine indie wrestler that has climbed to the top of the mountain in every way imaginable. And yeah, he's cheated. Let's not get ourselves fooled here. He's cheated. He's lied. He's like Eddie Guerrero. He's cheated. He's lied. He stole.
I was gonna say so did Eddie
victory.
Guerrero.
Yeah, listen. That's my favorite wrestler of all time, Eddie Guerrero. He has cheated, lied, and stole his way to victory, and we love him. We love him. You can hate him as much as you want, but that's because his character is making you hate him. You can love him as much as you want because that's as much as his character is making you love him. He is one. I used to hate the guy. I used to hate MJF. I was like, he's a cheap,
always loved him.
Knockoff. Yeah, I hated the guy. I was like, this is trash. Why would he want to? He's a cheater. He's a thief. And I'm like, wait a second. That's Eddie Guerrero. And I love Eddie Guerrero. What the hell am I doing here? And my buddy Sam was like, wait, what are you, a banana head? You how do you not like MJF? He's literally like your favorite wrestler. I'm like, no way. And then I watched him. I was like, yeah, he's my favorite wrestler. Oh my God. Yeah, he really is like a modern day Eddie Guerrero in every aspect. I mean, promo skills. I mean, just look at what we just saw before. Just look at what we saw Wednesday. The high birdie. He didn't need to talk to Bryan Danielson's kid like that. Nobody needed to talk to Bryan Danielson's kid like that. But we did. And you know what? It is the most talked about promo right now this whole entire week.
You want to know something else?
Sami Zayn and Jimmy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You want to know something else about MJF is like, we talk about no stories. I think with MJF and only MJF, no matter who he's feuding with, his promos can create a story, even if it's kind of piss poor. I mean, I think the only decent story, the last decent story in AEW was MJF versus Punk, which brings me to a brilliant transition to CM Punk. I think AEW went downhill after Brawl Out, after
Yes,
CM Punk
100%.
did what he did. And here's my
Yeah,
big problem with Brawl Out, because it was pretty much inevitable we were going to talk about it in this video. Why did Tony Khan sit there? CM Punk bashed Colt Cabana. He bashed the EVPs. He bashed everybody. Like, I'm fucking sick. I'm working with children. Colt Cabana shares a
big
bank
baby,
account with his
big
mother.
baby.
Bro, you won the world fucking title. What the fuck are you doing
Yeah,
complaining about Colt Cabana for? Maybe I don't know the full story.
exactly.
What the fuck are you doing complaining about Colt Cabana for? You're the world
Right.
champion. We were going to see MJF versus Punk 3, 2. Correct me if
Something
I'm
like
wrong.
that. Yeah,
3.
so 2 or 3. Yeah, one of the things. I think it was 2 because I think the first one was with him and the devil worshiping and oh, you don't know who you're
The
really
dog
messing with,
collar,
etc., etc. Right, right, right.
the dog collar match.
Which was a
But
great
yeah,
match.
then there
Great
was
match.
that. Yeah, and then he throws the first punch at the Elite, and we have no idea what's going on with him now. We've had no words. It's been about 6 months, 5 6 months now.
Hmm.
We don't know anything. For all we know, Punk could come back as soon as, like High Side of the Rope says, he's done being fragile. As soon as he's done with his injury.
Right.
But at the same time, here's another problem with Tony Khan. He needs to stop being a buddy and start being a
Correct.
boss. If I were Tony
Correct.
Khan, I'm sitting there right beside him, and he's criticizing my company, my fucking EVPs, the people that made me the
Yeah.
face of the fucking company. I don't give
Correct.
a fuck. I will
Yeah.
go over there. I'll be like, listen, buddy, I don't care how much money you're making in my fucking company. I got Bryan Danielson. I got fucking Adam Cole. I got Jon Moxley. I can replace your
Yes.
ass quicker than anybody.
Yep.
I don't get
Like
it.
that. I agree with you 100%. And it goes, and we're going to stick on this for definitely a hot second because I have some things to say about that. Cody Rhodes was in a Ariel Helwani interview, and he was
Oh
talking
yeah.
because Ariel Helwani brought up the fact of how did he hear about everything that happened with the CM Punk issue, and not for nothing, Brandy Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, the Elite, Kenny Omega, Tony Khan's father created AEW. Let's just get something straight here.
Mm,
We got AEW due to the righteous and most smart, thought out way that Cody could think to make indie wrestlers a bigger payday, as well as bring them to a brand new light and to brand new eyes by creating AEW. So when someone like Punk decides to come and shit on the company the way that he did in front of a mass media, which was definitely not the way to approach this. You're not only just shaming Colt Cabana, you're not shaming the Elite, you're shaming Cody, you're shaming Tony, you're shaming Tony's father, you're shaming Brandy, people that aren't really a part of this business in that aspect, and you're making the company step down a peg that it doesn't need to, because things
yeah.
like this is what makes AEW the third, if not second, type of wrestling company you'd want to watch on TV if given the opportunity. With CM Punk and everything, his behavior, I don't condone it. I think that he shouldn't be allowed back in the squared circle at all
Hell
in
no.
any way, shape, or form. I think that he should stay in the back if he wants to play this whole, oh, if it's not my way, it's the highway thing. Now, I get it. When he was with WWE, he was getting fucked over sometimes. We saw it. We know it. Everybody knew it. We all saw it. And yeah, Vince McMahon definitely had a hand in that whole pipe bomb that he gave us with Cena and stuff. But, at the same time, it was a little bit of sensitivity that came into that, interaction with the media. And again, it came with the same thing with WWE. He's putting his
Mm-hmm.
his feelings more into the message than him going, oh, well, it's not my type of wrestling. Like, the Elite, like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks have like an AWA style wrestling. Old, gritty, down south, kind of, oh, like, let's see what we can do. Let's see how far we can tell it and push it. Let's really involve the audience. Let's really try to make it a whole type of thing, where Punk is like, let's make it a little more darker. Let's make it a New Japan. Let's make it a WWE. Let's make it a newer light to the company and everything like that. And it's just like, that it can work. And Cody had it set up to where that all can work like that, where we could have AWA wrestling, where we could have New Japan wrestling, where we could have WWE wrestling and modern day wrestling,
Yeah.
and just overall fun of wrestling in general come to TV. Mind you, we're on television. We're not on YouTube where things could be edited out and change and et cetera, et cetera. We're on national television. We're broadcasting to millions and millions and millions of people, to to homes, to kids that are now watching wrestling for the first time. And this is what you're going to see, is a man who's been wrestling for 20 something years being a big baby about how, oh, I don't like how Kenny Omega said no to my idea, and oh, I don't like how the Young Bucks said no to my idea. It's like, dude, maybe your idea wasn't what the vision was for AEW as a whole. Maybe it was more of a selfish decision that you were trying to make, and maybe you didn't realize it. And that's okay. It's not that it was a
Yeah.
bad thing. I'm not saying that your idea maybe wasn't the right thing to do. Maybe it was just wasn't the right thing to do at the time. Maybe it was something that we could work on, maybe go work towards. Maybe it's a story we could try to build out for everybody. That's more or less what I got from all of these interviews and stuff like that, from watching Cody and watching Punk, and seeing how all of the turmoil kind of spiraled out of control these past 5-6 months. And again, it sucks. I do like CM Punk. I wish he wasn't such a big baby about it, about how he behaved. It definitely hurts AEW, and it definitely took him down a peg going forward,
It
going
did.
into Full Gear and everything. We really didn't know what we were getting ourselves into after the whole All Out thing. I mean, even the company as a whole kind of seemed a little indifferent of where we were going to go. So, what's wrong with AEW? Of course, a lot. It sucks, because like we're going to keep hammering on with the point. It can go definitely in a right direction. And I'm watching on the comments over here, the Triple H promo is like 10 years ago really don't age well after Brawl Out. It's true,
Yeah,
to
the one
an
where it was
extent.
like, if it's not my way, then it's the highway. Or, yeah, pretty much
Which
like
is
what
so
you
dumb.
said.
You can't go into this type of business going, if it's not my way, it's the highway. It's like going to a job. Honestly, if you want to compare it to anything, if you get hired to
Yeah.
go work at a pizzeria, or a supermarket, or an electrical company, and it's like, you may know something that maybe they don't know, and that's fine. You could try to do it if it works better, or you could try to make it, food or whatnot, if it works better, and try to explain your point. But if the owner says no, the owner says no. Remember, at the end of the day, you're getting paid by him. You're not getting paid by the fans. I'm not giving you a paycheck out of my own pocket going, hey, Phil Brooks, you did great this week. Here's your, 25,000 or whatever. It's, hey, Phil Brooks, you're an idiot. Like, you need to realize that you were wrong in this situation. And I know from what I've seen and heard on Twitter and stuff, that he has apologized, and he said that he understands that the way he approached it was wrong, and how he spoke about it was definitely wrong. But we're missing the point. We're missing the point. There is really no point. You're kind of stating, hey, it's this way or no way. He's more or less saying, oh, if the EVPs, quote unquote, want to run the company this way, then I'm not all about it. Then don't come to AEW, dude. Go to GCW. Go to New Japan. New Japan would love him. New Japan would love to have him. You kidding? Like, they have
Yeah, imagine
Mercedes
if you had
Moné.
people like Sasha, like Mercedes Moné and CM Punk in the same fucking company. Jesus Christ, you get a lot of new
Yeah,
fans.
exactly. So it's not like this is the only outlet. It's not the only way of making money, man. He was just in New Japan watching Mercedes Moné in her recent
Yeah,
IGW fight. So it's just like, dude, you could come here. You have that. CM Punk has built himself to a legacy that unfortunately now is very much tarnished, and it's very much looked upon as, oh, he's the big baby of the wrestling community. And, he could go to GCW. He could go to New Japan. He could go back to WWE. I wouldn't want him in WWE, but he could
Oh, hell
go back
no.
to WWE. No. We don't need him in WWE. But again, we don't know. Um, it sucks. I wish he definitely, and I think he realized he wish he handled it definitely differently. But generally speaking, I think that, I wonder how Tony's going to handle these situations going up, because this could be Tony Khan's year. I know that this is the what is wrong with the AEW episode, but there is a possibility. I know I'm probably very much in the very small percentage of people saying that this could be Tony Khan's year of being the number
It already
one booker.
is.
Yeah,
It already
it
is
could
Tony
be.
Khan's year. Remember the
It
Wrestling
could
Observer
be though.
Newsletter Awards. The
Yeah, well, I
Wrestling
don't really
Newsletter
trust that too
Awards
much.
saying best
Yeah,
booker, best promoter, best promotion, best TV
I don't know
show,
about all
best
that.
wrestler.
I
It's
don't
like,
know
what
about all
the
that.
fuck? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, best
I don't
TV
agree
show
with that.
goes to Dynamite. Best TV show goes to fucking Dynamite. Best booker goes to Tony Khan.
No,
I'm sorry,
no,
I didn't know John Moxley versus indie guy number 2000, who probably only has 100 followers on Twitter, is a match of the fucking year. Well, it's not a
thank
match of
you.
the fucking year, but you know what I mean. Great booking. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, we had a fucking segment with Jimmy, Jay, and Sammy literally last
right,
night. Like,
right,
what are you talking about? Like,
correct.
but then again, the voters at Wrestling Observer Newsletter could be the AEW Freakazoids for all we fucking know.
Correct. And
I
there's a lot
mean,
of them. There's a lot of them.
there's a lot, and that's what I
There's a
hate is
lot of them.
like the fan
Yes,
base has turned me off more than the product, and that's the
correct.
thing. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you how many times I criticized WWE back when Vince was there. How many people
Oh
attacked
God,
me
don't
for
even get
it?
me started.
Zero. No,
Yeah,
nobody like really attacked anybody who criticized WWE. I can
right,
say, why the fuck are we seeing Jade Cargill versus some indie woman like JD from New York? He did that, and look at
right,
how he got. Look at how most people get from the AEW fans, death threats and shit like
right.
fucking that. Like, are you kidding me?
It's
That's why I
immense.
always
It's
joke
immense.
around. That's why I always joke around saying, how much is Tony Khan paying these people to fucking defend everything? And that's another thing. It's
Right.
like, what are we missing? What are we missing every week on AEW? Because honestly, I don't feel like we're missing anything. Every show feels skippable. Do I need to see the Acclaim versus the Firm? Do
Not
do I
again.
need do I need to see Soraya versus Sky Blue? Do I need to see Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal win a fucking tag team battle royal for a fatal four-way match they're probably not even gonna win?
We don't need to see the new NWO. No, I agree. I
No.
100% agree. It sucks. It sucks. I used to watch wrestling very heavily throughout when I was younger, and got into the early 2000s, late 2010s. But about like 2009, more like 2010, 11, I kind of stopped. I was doing my own thing and everything like that. I kind of got recently more back into wrestling during the pandemic, during the COVID ever, due to my buddy Sam. And,
Yeah.
I have been a fan since 2020, more or less, going forward again, as a wrestling fan. And, I've been watching old NXT and Ring of Honor and old matches like with Bray Wyatt and when he was Husky Harris and stuff like that. So like, I'm kind of trying to re-educate myself on a lot of the things that I've missed. But, where we have with AEW and where we seem to be going with AEW, it seems like we're trying to, how can I put this? We're trying to straighten out the unnarrow path into a cleaner, more efficient type of booking. And we seem to be going in a path of, hey, we can be just as watchable as WWE. And I think that there's truth to that. There is truth to that. It's not that they don't have the card. It's not that they don't have the roster. It's how they're utilizing more or less a lot of these guys. And it sucks because a lot of these guys, some of them don't really need a push. Like a Jeff Jarrett.
No.
don't want to see him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that what he's done, he's not talented. He's not this. He's not that. Listen, he's done a lot for wrestling. He's done a lot for wrestling as a community, as a
I'd
company.
probably
He's
want to
helped
see
start
Jeff
TNA
Jarrett. I'd probably want to
as
see
a
Jeff Jarrett
writer.
on a pay-per-view if it was 1993.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
on, man. But
Jay Lethal's very
you know,
good. I'm happy to see him.
Jay Lethal's great. Jay Lethal's great.
Yeah.
I would have rather Jay Lethal and literally anybody
Any
else in
day
a
of the
tag team
week.
battle. I would have been fine with it. Literally anybody else.
Yes.
But what I was going to say was, you want to say that there is a possibility that AEW could be just as watchable as WWE, and I agree.
Yes.
AEW has all the potential to
Yes, they
be
do.
as watchable, if not better. And in 2019, 2020, and some of
I don't.
2021, it was. It was. It was
Right.
the best
It
thing on
was.
fucking television.
It
And
was. Absolutely.
now
Thank you, Cody
it just
Rhodes.
seems like, yeah, Cody Rhodes
Thank you,
was
Cody
was
Rhodes.
great.
Thank you, Cody Rhodes. Thank you, Cody
Yeah, and
Rhodes.
then
That's all I
Cody
can say
Rhodes
to that.
came,
Thank you, Cody Rhodes.
I think Cody Rhodes went into the future and saw what it would become and booked it.
Yeah,
That's what I think. But what I
it's a
was
good
going to say
possibility.
was, I think now they're trying so hard to make WWE notice them. I don't know
Yeah.
why. They reference them
They
every
want to be
5 minutes.
WCW. Yep.
Yeah. Screw
Yeah.
you, Vince McMahon, Paul Levesque, Ariel Helwani of all fucking people. Like, what? But
Why?
it's like, you're a less famous Miz, or the You Can't See Me Man, or the King of Kings. Like, okay, we get it. WWE exists. We didn't come to watch that. We came to watch the alternative that was slated to be the just as good, if not better, back in 2019 when we had people like Cody Rhodes, Pac, and the Young Bucks in that fucking podium in front of a huge
Correct.
crowd. This was
Yep.
supposed to be the second coming of WWE competition, and Tony Khan wants to keep calling it that. But I'm sorry, if you're pulling numbers like 800,000, if you have shitty people on your roster, if you have talented people that aren't even on your television screens, that are just sitting behind a contract and catering or on the injured list or the unemployment list, then why do I need to see it? Why should I take it seriously? Is it competition? Because I don't see it. I
No,
don't.
not at all.
And, I might be in the minority because a lot of
It's
people
all right.
want to
I'm there with
defend
you, buddy.
AEW, want to defend AEW as if I'm talking about Jesus Christ here. But I mean, it's like, what is so good about it? Because I don't see it. And, I don't know. Some might call me a WWE fanboy, but at least with WWE, I'm seeing stories. I'm seeing character
Right.
development. Some point,
Right.
Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes. We got that character development, but where's
Amazing.
the character development for Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson in this feud with MJF? What is
Correct.
there to gain with Wardlow and Samoa Joe? What is there to gain with the
Oh,
House of Black versus the Elite? What is there
yeah.
to gain from this fatal four-way match? Why the fuck were the Guns the new tag team champions? Like,
Right.
when you had a
Well,
great tag team like the Acclaim.
correct. I think
Like,
they wanted to switch up some of the stuff. I think that they wanted to try to stir some of us up, which clearly they have. We're making this episode just because of it. I think that more or less that you're right. I think why did we have to switch it from the Acclaim to the Guns? Do the Guns deserve the tag team titles? I think yes, in a way. I think that they are the heels of the company that they're trying to prove to be. I think that they could have a very good run as tag team champions. Now, do we see them retaining? I hope so. And I know I'm probably very much in the minority saying that because I'm a big Acclaim fan. Scissor me daddy ass, like I'm a fan. I'm a fan. But listen, I hope that they retain. I think that it would be best for their look as characters, as the heel development that they're trying to pursue themselves to be as somebody that retains them from two other tag teams that really don't make a difference.
you know,
Like if it is, let's say, Top Flight and Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal versus the Guns and the Acclaimed, cool. But Top Flight was probably the only other ones that I could see them were getting the belts and having a really good babyface run. I'd
What
rather see
about
the Guns
Blackpool
have a
Combat
good.
Club? We have Claudio and Wheeler Yuta in that battle royal.
I do see that. Yes. I don't want it. I don't want it. I know.
I want
It's
it.
shocking. I know you do. I know. I can see it on your face, man. I know you do. But
I
I
really
don't
want
want
it.
it. I think Wheeler Yuta and Claudio are doing good as ROH champions. I think they are pulling themselves to be one of the best ROH champions coming out of ROH, trying to be on a TV show. Especially now with them leading the ROH community and ROH wrestling people to this new level of TV. I think seeing them on TV would be better off than seeing someone else. Now, I'm not saying Samoa Joe doesn't belong on TV. Clearly, he does. I mean, look what he's done from TNA to Indies to now AEW and WWE.
Yeah.
I do enjoy seeing Samoa Joe week in and week out. I do like the fact that we have these high-end WWE and on indie developed people getting opportunities like Wheeler Yuta getting a chance to shine on a newer level. I don't think he was getting as much love as we wanted him to get on Dynamite or Rampage, like we think he deserves, like I think he deserves. A lot of people make fun of him saying he's the guy that works at Target. If you ever see him in Target with a red shirt on, that's Wheeler Yuta. So, a lot of people, a lot of people make fun of him for that. But hey, man, he might be the guy from Target, but he has a bigger target on his back for sure for those
Yeah.
titles, man. And I think them trying to combine the tag team titles with AEW tag team titles with the AEW championship belts, I don't think it's a good look for ROH. I think more or less that it would be better off if they kept it as the brand split that we'd like to see happen with AEW and ROH. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing ROH characters coming to AEW, bringing another set of eyes to Ring of Honor, which totally, totally deserves. I mean, Ring of Honor was founded from Christopher Daniels and Bryan Danielson and people like that. We had Eddie Guerrero on there. We had Rey Mysterio on there. We had Punk on there. We had everybody. Anybody you could name
We
was
had
on
Rollins
ROH.
on there. Yeah.
Rollins was on there. Bailey was on there. Becky Lynch was
Roderick
on there. Like there
Strong.
was, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Adam
Fucking, we
Cole.
had
Like, goddamn.
Adam Cole, baby, man. Like we had a lot of great people coming from ROH. Hangman Adam Page, the Briscoes, rest in peace, Jay. Like it's something that we definitely need to see happen more and more with this. Interchanging of communities going from one to another to this other. I think that we need to see more of the split of, hey, this is ROH guys, these are AEW guys. Maybe Forbidden Door kind of merges them together. If they don't want to do something with New Japan, I think the Forbidden Door 2 should merge more or less Ring of Honor characters with AEW. I think that would bring AEW and especially definitely for Ring of Honor to a new plateau. Again,
That would be
the
sick for
more
Forbidden
eyes,
Door too.
yeah, like the more eyes on Ring of Honor, the better Ring of Honor looks, the better the community is, the better we have with seeing these wrestlers go in and branch out to new companies like a WWE, like a New Japan, like an AEW. And if we have booking and we have good writing and we have all these other things that we've talked about, we can have that happen for Forbidden Door too. Tony Khan, listen, I'll give you my email address, man. I'm willing to work for you, buddy. I'm willing to do these things for you, man. I really am, because I think that he's not. I think again he's not thinking of that. I think he's more thinking of how can I make AEW and Ring of Honor better, which is a great way to start. But the way he's approaching it, I think, is very weak. I think um, it's definitely something he needs to figure a new method out, because it doesn't seem to be the way he believes in his head is really going. It's not the greatest thing on television every week. I'll tell you that. It was at
Oh
one
no.
point when Cody Rhodes was there, and I think when we had MJF starting to break out with Wardlow character and disrespecting Wardlow and stuff like that, I think that was a good from the whole rigmarole of the same scripted shit. I think that having Samoa Joe, who's Ring of Honor, come and face Wardlow is a good idea. I don't think that we need it for a belt. I think it more or less should just be a singles match in general. I think that having more people from Ring of Honor come up the card and do more things for Elevation or even Dark, bring the YouTube channel up even more. I think that would be a
Yeah.
really good start for Ring of Honor, for AEW as a whole, because then you're getting the thing I think with Tony Khan is missing. I know I'm talking very long, and I'm sorry, it's my Italian in me, but I think the biggest thing that Tony Khan is missing is that he is not utilizing the other little things that he has to its full potential. And him buying Ring of Honor was a very good idea, but a very bad
Yep.
idea. It's a good idea because now, hey, we got a chance to now watch it every week. We have a chance to subscribe to Ring of Honor at a cheaper rate. We have a chance to watch Ring of Honor pay-per-views on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis, just like AEW and WWE and GCW and everything in between. I think that's a great idea, but what are we doing to utilize Ring of Honor? Not much. We're just kind of
No.
saying, hey, join the Ring of Honor Club. Watch all the stuff. Watch Daniel Bryan's backlog. Watch Claudio Castagnoli's backlog. Watch Samoa Joe's backlog. I don't want to watch that shit. I want to see what we're doing going forward. I want to see
Yeah, I could
Samoa
watch
Joe
that stuff on
versus
YouTube.
exactly.
I could watch that stuff
Like
on
it's just
YouTube.
exactly. Yeah, I just I'll start. I'll let you speak in a second. I'm so sorry. But yeah, man, I think that I wish Tony was thinking more or less like a booker and more and less of a fan than
Yes.
anything, because I think that's what's hurting him the most for sure.
Yeah, I think you got that spot on. I like if he were to treat it more as a storyteller, and maybe he doesn't have that narrative part in him. If he were to get someone like a close friend or something like that, you had William Regal, who you could have had that in your disposal, but now you don't. But we're not even going to
Yep.
get there.
Yep.
If you were to get a writer that can write narratives, your product would improve a lot more. And I think we've gotten like pretty much every single detail, every single tooth and nail on what is basically wrong with AEW nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope it gets better because it was a shame. Like 2019 to early 2022, AEW was the best thing in pro wrestling, and then just
Correct.
I don't know. It wasn't even since Triple H took over. It was mainly since like Brawl Out or Cody Rhodes left that it just started
To
going
tank.
downhill.
Yeah.
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 So
For sure.
yeah, it's a shame. So
It is.
yeah, we pretty much
It
got
is.
everything. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to have to conclude this episode here. If we left out any reasons why AEW is tanking, you can leave them down in the comments below. Be sure to follow the Last Week in Wrestling podcast on Spotify,
Yes.
if I'm correct.
Yeah, we're
Spotify, Anchor.
there's a yep, Spotify, Anchor, we're on Apple Music. I'm sorry, Apple Podcasts is Last Week in Wrestling. It's a great show. We got another couple episodes coming up this week. We're going to be doing a live for us over here at the Pro Wrestling News for Revolution, which I'm very, very excited for. We did one for Elimination Chamber for you guys, and it was so much fun. Me and Evan had an absolute ball doing that. I definitely expect that. It was my first time on camera ever. So it was just like, oh, wow. Okay. All right, cool. So no,
Yeah.
I'm very excited to do more for that. And yeah, no, definitely check us out. We have the Last Week in Wrestling pod, like I was saying, on Apple Music, on Anchor, which is free, which is really cool. You don't even need to pay, which is nice, like Spotify and Apple Music. And of course, we're on
Yeah.
Spotify. And yeah, man, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And be sure to subscribe to this channel, Will Leaders Wrestling. Thank you so much for
Yes.
260 subscribers, by the way, which we achieved on the stream.
Woo! Nice.
Yeah,
Go.
man, it's insane. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Dylan, so much for being on here and
Absolutely.
blabbering away about the world of AEW. And
Yes.
yeah, that's about it. So
All right.
until we see y'all again, we'll see you next time.